It's with great pleasure I introduce you to our special guest this evening, Billy Bragg. Thanks for coming in, mate.
Pleasure.
How was the show tonight?
Good, good. Bit of a town hall in Sydney. It's a bit like an old English town hall. We've got acoustics like a swimming baths, but...
Don't you? It cost about $5 squillion to build that place.
I know, but they're built for the human voice, really. So when you go in there and just turn the electric guitar on, it bangs around a bit, but you just have to sort of like cut your show to fit that kind of thing. But great audience.
Right.
Went spare from the minute we started. And
well, mate, they love you. We love you.
Thank you.
Okay, mate, every interview I've read and seen of you, people always ask you about the ecology, the causes you're supporting, all that stuff. I mean, whilst that's very valid, what do you see going on that's really positive?
Positive? Well, in Europe, there's a lot of positive stuff that's happening with regard to what Mikhail Gorbachev is trying to do, which obviously has a political side to it as well, but it has a much more human side, because without a Soviet Union that is obviously willing to play the role of the bad guy and the aggressor, it's very hard for our own governments to justify spending all this money on nuclear weapons and stuff. So it's quite interesting. He's really unbalanced the whole sort of Cold War bullshit that was been going down since the 1940s, and I think that's a very positive thing. Whether or not it means anything for the people who live in the Soviet Union, it's hard to see, because a lot of it's kind of, you get the impression he's playing to the gallery of Western Europe. You know, look what I can do. You know, you think this, you know, you thought this was bad, the Soviet Union. Well, watch this. You know, moving it all around. So how much that actually affects people, the quality of people's lives in the Soviet Union, I don't know. So that's a very positive thing.
You've worked behind the Iron Curtain.
Yeah, I've done about 4 trips now to the Soviet Union, a couple to East Germany, Hungary and Poland. So that's just one aspect of how it's opening up a bit more, because it's vast. I mean, if you think, I mean, how many time zones do you have here in Australia?
We've 3 or 4.
The Soviet Union has 12.
It's
just incredibly huge. It's just really hard to get your brain around it. But it's like, you know, I think Canada is the 2nd biggest country in the world. And if you ever see one of them polar maps, and you look how far around the top the SU goes, it's huge. So it's very, very interesting to go there. You know, it's not quite the same. They don't quite have the same pop media as we do. I mean, you know, Moscow is so far cut off from what's happening in England and America. It might as well be Perth. You know, I mean, it really is.
These days, guys like yourself and Sting established, you know, people listen to what you say. A few years ago, I mean, Bob Dylan was branded as a loony and a leftist and a hippie and a troublemaker. Why do you think it is that you guys are now taken seriously as representatives?
I think the situation's changed a lot. I think in them days, pop music was much more you know, I mean, Bob Dylan was really pioneering protest songs and stuff. Now, it's kind of like a recognised form, and someone like Tracy Chapman can make quite a large career out of, I think, not really saying really much in a political sense. I mean, if you listen to something like her song talking about a revolution, it doesn't really, as far as I'm concerned, anyway, get to grips with issues. It's more about personal politics.
You travel around the world a lot and you like to address issues in the various countries you go to. How do you keep tabs on what's happening around the world? Well,
you try. It helps a lot if it's an English language media. Obviously, you can read newspapers, but a lot of it comes through in interviews. People point things out in interviews or say, oh, there's something happening over here, you know, so that helps.
What have you seen here that's important?
Obviously, the issue of the death of Aborigines in police custody is a very hot issue at the moment. I mean, so much so that we hear about it in England even. So that's something that I've already heard quite a bit of. We're playing with a band called Weddings, Parties, Anything, who've done took part in this Building Bridges double album, and they've already told us quite a bit about that. The whole issue about, you know, I think the ambivalence of some people in Australia towards the gung-ho celebration of the bicentennial. Certainly that came home because what's his name, Burnham turned up on Bicentennial Day and claimed England for the Aborigines, which I thought was brilliant. That was good. That got all on the TV, you know, and no end of publicity over that. Yeah. So that had a quite positive aspect to it. I think Australia, you know, as a young country, still hasn't quite sussed out what its identity is. I mean, certainly I feel it's a kind of like even for in a modern sense, whether or not it's going to be like England was or like America was. I think it's rather suss out what Australia is going to be rather than, you know, imitate England or America.
Yeah, we'll chat some more in a minute. We're going to have a look at you in action now, mate. This is Waiting for the Great Leap Forward, Billy Bragg. had fun making that, didn't
Yeah,
you?
we did. We like just looking at it and thinking what a laugh it was. I mean, I find it very difficult to take making videos all that seriously. So they sort of said they'd get all that back stuff together, and I did an afternoon out near the airport of just dressing up and putting funny clothes on and messing around.
Mate, another political question. If you lived in Australia, which party would you vote for?
Is there a socialist party in Australia? Is there a party in Australia for the socialist policies?
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd go for the obvious big parties. It's very difficult to just come in and you can't, you know, trying to compare our Labour Party to your Labour Party is like trying to compare our native animals to your native animals. They are actually very, very different. You can't do it like that. It's not quite so easy as that. So I don't know.
Tell us about the goats, mate.
The goats. One of the jobs I had, was looking after this herd of goats. It's most people who do this job, rock and roll, or perhaps your job as well, try and do anything to avoid having a proper job. And one of mine, the goats were part of a farm which had a recording studio on it. So it was kind of like trying to get into the recording studio to do some music, but that's all. They wouldn't let me be tape op or roadie or anything. So
To look after the goats.
yeah, they all died, unfortunately. Not my fault. Lovers of animals at home,
They just passed away. Well, if you'd like to see Billy Bragg in concert or talk to him about goats, you can see him at these places, playing Brisbane and Sydney Town Hall, Trade Union Centre, and Canberra, Melbourne. There you go, Adelaide. Good, you're getting around, aren't you?
Yeah, as ever, yeah.
And there's been a final Sydney show at Salinas.
Salinas on Easter Sunday.
26th
On our
of
way,
March.
yeah, we're on our way over to New Zealand. We're going to pop back here and just do one as the demand has been quite.
Thanks for coming back to Australia.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for
Pleasure,
coming
mate.
to MTV.
Pleasure.
All the best. We'll try and get you back or do something
Yeah,
more with you.
next time.
More
Thanks.
time. Coming up, we've got